numerous expert opinion pieces that applaud the new advanced subsidiary curriculum to say that it promotes a higher level order of thinking for Namibian students. The questions on the pros and the cons of the current advanced subsidiary curriculum, on the challenges and its victories, remains pertinent in the Namibian House. Good morning, Namibia and the world. My name is Doreen Liomba, and I will be your moderator for today's discussion, where we'll be unpacking the challenges and the victories of the new AS level curriculum, while also focusing on its challenges and its victories. In studio today, I'm accompanied by valid, profound contributors in the education sector, and I'll start by introducing our Director of Examinations and Assessments at the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture, Mrs. Clementine Thomas Garrises. Welcome, Mrs. Clementine. We are absolutely excited to have you here today.
Thank you.
Okay. On my immediate left, we have Mr. Innocent Peters, who is the Acting Vice Secretary for the Tertiary and Vocational Training at the Namibia National Students Organization. Good morning, Mr. Peters. We are happy to have you here today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Okay. And now, last but not least, we have one of the most exceptional students who has been ranked the second best AS level performer in the entire Namibia nation, who is Mr. Chika Libuku. Chika Libuku, congratulations on your achievement, and we hope to hear from your experiences and learn from you today.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here today.
All right. So I think now that we have introduced our stakeholders and contributors for today's discussion, let us dive right into our first question, which is directed to Ms. Garrises. Mrs. Garrises, the new curriculum only allows for learners to take roundabout or a minimum of 3 subjects when they move to their grade 12 in the AS level curriculum. So what is the credibility and what is the guarantee that the 3 subjects can allow the students to get placements or to apply for the institutions of higher learning? Is there some sort of provision for these learners to be able to add on to the subjects that they did in their grade 11 studies?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Yes, Ministry of Education is aware of the fact that tertiary institutions require 5 subjects for candidates to be admitted. AS level was introduced against the background that a candidate must have done ordinary level first and obtain C or better grade in at least 3 subjects or more, and decide whether he or she is continuing at AS. These 2 qualifications are working together. They talk to each other. The first one is primary and the AS is secondary. Both of them must be put together on the table. Candidates must take best 5 subjects combined from these 2 certificates. They must use the point scale of respective institutions they applied for, and then count the points, see whether they meet the required points to be admitted at that institution. So basically, it's an add-on. AS is an add-on on the ordinary level, and both of them must be considered when searching for admission at tertiary institution.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Garrises. That was very insightful. But I just want to make a quick follow-up to the first question, really. Seeing that you are allowed, or the previous curriculum does accompany the current AS level curriculum in terms of applying to institutions of higher learning, how do we ensure that in terms of the international academic scene, there is no prejudice against our students, particularly referring to the recent occurrences with institutions of higher learning in South Africa, where the students were left out because most of them, either their results were not out and those institutions had already begun with registration and classes?
You see, if we talk about the C grade and anybody questioning the C grade, or South African universities refusing to admit our candidates because the results were delayed. The results were never delayed. There was an outcry for us to give more teaching and learning time, for the candidates to be prepared well in order to excel well. It doesn't help us to give examinations while the candidates are struggling with the content. Now, when we look at the legacy or the candidates who will be late, these are mature people now. They are mature, they have been exposed to adult learning ways. They have been exposed through COVID, fortunately, to alternative ways of learning. So they have to catch up eventually on their own also. So for South African universities, we communicated through the minister's signature, through our ED signature to all the 26 universities with USAF to inform them the results will be available by so-and-so time due to this, not because of the leakage. And then they take cognizance of that, and many of our candidates were admitted. Before the results were even released, we emailed the results of our candidates directly to the universities, those information that were provided to us. So as the ministry, we did everything we could to assist these learners not to fall out, and now the rest is on their shoulders just to catch up. If the university has started already with the lessons and they are joining at a later stage, they just have to work harder to catch up.
The ministry's efforts to ensure that the universities in South Africa are informed is quite a plausible position. So I think perhaps let's just dissect, Mr. Peters. How did you as a part of a youth organization whose primary mandate is to advance the rights of its constituents, ensure that you are part and parcel of the rollout of this curriculum? Because we do understand that the only way that the curriculum can be effectively rolled out is if the stakeholders of the education sectors hold each other's hand and guide themselves through the process. So how have you, as a member of the Namibian National Students Organizations, or rather the position of the entire organization, handled the rollout and contributed to the effectiveness of this new curriculum?
Yeah, well, thank you very much, moderator. The new curriculum, the AS curriculum, it was quite, so to say, we were all roaming around to say that, oh, this is something new. How can we go about this? And through various consultations with the ministry and different stakeholders, we have seen that in order for us to compete globally, we needed something like this. In order for us as a nation, as stakeholders of the education fraternity, in order for us to really be part and parcel of the global education stakeholders, we needed to up our game. So as an organization, we've been part of consultations, and we've really gone down to the grassroots level in order to ask our constituents on how they feel about this new system that's coming to place. And just as anything new, we have gotten positive responses. We have got some people that might be concerned about this new curriculum. But as we can see with the results that just came out, indeed, our constituents really made lemonade out of lemons, one can say.
Very well, Mr. Peters. Perhaps maybe just enlighten us a bit. Based on the new, or rather the results of the class of 2021, the advanced subsidiary level results, can you maybe give us some input on what your opinion is, particularly in comparison to the last legacy curriculum results and the current AS results, focusing basically on the passing rate as compared to the failure rate? Do you believe that that is the contributing factor to the passing rate of the AS level curriculum is rather because you have a smaller number of students that are doing that particular, taking part in that particular curriculum, or what really do you think are the most contributing factors to the current exceptional results that we are seeing today?
Okay, well, thank you very much, Comrade Moderator. Well, I think that the exceptional results that we are seeing here today is what I would term based on the fact that this new curriculum came with very much high expectations. And one could see that through the results that our constituents were really up to the task to say that, okay, this is something new. It is not something that we've known, but we are going to do it, and we are going to put all our efforts and energy into ensuring that we reap from the fruits of AS level curriculum.
Okay, I think let's move on to the star of the show. Chika, give us some of your experiences with the new AS level curriculum. What has been your takeaway from this experience, and what would you want to share with the nation, or rather the students that are going to come after you?
Oh, thank you very much. I guess with every single thing that is new, there's always going to be some problems and some challenges that you face, and there was certainly not an exception with AS level, with there being a lot of uncertainty and unclarity from the teacher standpoint. Since this was new to them, they had never taught a syllabus such as this, and as a result, the students as well were very confused and were in the dark for most of the time. However, as time went on, the teachers started getting used to the syllabus, and they started, having a better understanding of it, and that translated into the students, with them eventually being able to keep up and everything with the syllabus. And one of the experiences that one of the most challenging experiences that I had was the transition from ordinary level towards into AS level, because in the beginning, of course, I said that the teachers had not known the syllabus before; they have not taught it, and so they did not know the content as much. But also the transition from ordinary level and AS level was very steep, and it was not a very cohesive change with the content and the pacing and everything just becoming a whole nother level. So that was a huge experience that a huge challenge that most of the AS level students experience, I would say.
Okay, so Chika, I think also maybe this question can be open to all the panelists. If there were any improvements or adjustments that we could make to the new AS level curriculum for it to be one, easier to roll out and implement in schools, what would you suggest those changes to be?
Thank you. I would say the biggest way of improvement is looking at the biggest problem that we had, which was the transition from NSSCO ordinary level into AS level. So perhaps my takeaway or my suggestion is hopefully integrating just a tiny bit of AS level in ordinary level, so that students have at least a knowledge of what they expect in the next year or the next syllabus, and they are much more prepared, and just overall have a smoother transition from ordinary level into AS level. Another improvement, I would say, in our year in 2021, we did not have any NSS AS level textbooks. There were not any textbooks that focused on our curriculum. So we had to make compromises by using other textbooks and foreign textbooks and sources and things like that. So I would like to see an improvement, which I've already noticed has gone underway, of introducing these curriculum-focused textbooks. So yeah, I love to see that. And also the another improvement that I see that's already going underway is the experience that the teachers had. Of course, last year they now know how AS level is, and they know the pacing and the teaching content. So now I believe there's already improvement going underway, and I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you very much, Chika. We see why you are the second best performer nationally at the AS level examination results, class of 2021. I think maybe just to push that question further to Madam Director, really, as from a point of examination assessment and really, what do you think are the changes that we perhaps need to see? This is not really limited to the ministry, but also towards the parents and all the other valid contributors in terms of the education sector. What can we really do to improve the AS level curriculum as it goes?
Yeah, it's good that you are following up with us, the Ministry of Education. You know, AS was never implemented in Namibia before. And it is demanding. That's what everybody is saying. It is advanced subsidiary level. It is meant for high flyers. It is meant for those candidates who know what they want as far as education is concerned in their life. It is candidates who are focused, who are dedicated to their studies, who are masters of their own destiny. It's those candidates who will become teachers in the class in the absence of a teacher. Independent studies must be there. So we are, with AS, the ministry is trying to narrow the gap between the tertiary institutions and formal education. We know that candidates go to, students start first year, many of them drop out. They could not cope. And then the complaints are left and right. The content, they were not ready. Now we are narrowing the gap with AS. It just calls on everybody, starting from the learner, the teacher, the parent, the community, to work, to take this as something different than what we had before, and to work harder to master the content of the syllabi, the skills and the competencies that are required to graduate with good grades in order to make it easy for that candidate to excel from the start of first year at tertiary level. That's what AS is meant for.
Very well, Comrade Director. I think maybe, is it correct to confidently say that the new curriculum really, it provides the Namibian students a favorable competition in terms of the international academic scene?
Definitely. You see, we have an agreement with Cambridge. Cambridge offers examination, assessment internationally, all over the world, and their qualifications are recognized internationally. Now, all our qualifications, starting from the old curriculum, but if I focus on the new ones, ordinary level is pegged against the IGCSE of Cambridge, which is recognized worldwide. Our advanced subsidiary is pegged against the advanced subsidiary of Cambridge, which is pegged recognized all over the globe. Our candidates can go, and they do go, even with ordinary and high level in the past, to other countries. And then it is also listed on the framework, on the national qualifications framework. It is listed on level 4, which is equivalent to the advanced subsidiary level of Cambridge. So it has really made our learners to be competitive globally. They can go, there's non-stop, there's no stop to our learners. All the doors are open. Just make sure you score good grades. Good grades. You cannot just have an AS, but you have a D, E, and F. You should have A, B, C. Those are the quality symbols, and that is what we all and the learners must strive for.
That is exceptional. I think before we just close off this question, Mr. Peters, maybe because the director has mentioned that the AS level does create an independent environment of studies for learners, right? It promotes initiation in learners, where you can find learners taking up or making the decision to invest in their own academic studies without being told or without being forced by either a teacher, a parent, or a principal. So I think maybe because of that understanding of the narrowed gap, in terms of how we had it in the previous legacy curriculum and the current AS curriculum. Just advise us, Mr. Peters, what are the changes really that you would like to see, particularly from a student union perspective in the new AS level curriculum?
Yeah, thank you very much, Comrade Moderator. What we as an institution would like to see as NANSO is that we want more learners to come on board and to come on board and move to the stage of AS level, which give them an equal opportunity to compete with the rest. That's very important, number one. And the other is also that AS level gives you sort of a more self-responsibility, so to say. So as you also grow as a human, you grow your character, you tend to become more self-aware. That's what also AS curriculum focuses on. So it's not just the academic aspect that we should look at, but also how you as a human, how you as a learner tends to grow and so on.
Very well. I think let us move on to our next question. So, Mr. Peters, really, recently your organization launched the Access to Education campaign. Perhaps really advise the Namibian House what are the initiatives that you are taking up to ensure that the access of education is not hindered, particularly relating to the rewriting of examinations that have been currently underway.
Yeah, thank you very much, Moderator. Yes, that is true. We have recently launched our Access to Basic Education campaign. We have launched it in Okombaye in the Erongo region. Now, with this education campaign, we are doing it differently this year. We have engaged our ground soldiers, our structures. We've engaged our structures to say that we want you to go to the grassroots level. That's what we want. We want to focus this campaign where it is needed the most, which is rural areas. So our ground soldiers are, as we speak, they are on the ground, they are doing the work to ensure that this campaign that we run is a very fruitful and successful campaign. Now, in terms of the rewriting of the examination, it was quite unfortunate to see that there were leakages and so on, and that examination needed to be pushed, and especially writing exams at the time where you had a whole festive holiday season, and come January, you are all of a sudden in the school desk and you are writing examinations. So it was quite a very unfortunate scene. Now, as an organization, we've ensured that we have sent out our structures to the ground, and especially to engage with AS learners, to sort of motivate and just to boost their morale, to ensure that we as an organization, we stand behind them, we are with them, they are our constituents, and their success is our success, and our success is their success as an organization. Basically, that's what, as an organization, we were trying to achieve. Now, we have been in consultation with all the different stakeholders in the education fraternity. We have engaged with basic education, we are engaging with higher education, and institutions such as NASFAF, to ensure that there is a gap for these learners that will receive the results late, not only the AS level, but also from the legacy curriculum, which will receive their results very late, to ensure that they are not forced into a gap year, and that they are given the opportunity to get the results and to register with institutions of higher learning. That's what we as a movement, as an institution, as NANSO, are striving towards.
That is really impressive, Mr. Peters. Because we really, as individuals and as institutions, will always find ourselves in positions of having some sort of blind spot. It's really exceptional for us to see that both the ministry, the NGOs, as well as learners are really holding hands to ensure that this AS level is successfully implemented and rolled out in Namibian schools. For our outside audience, really, on our topic today, where we are unpacking the AS level results and the challenges and victories of the new curriculum. Feel free to join us and call in on our caller number, which is 061 400 397, or you can also engage us on our social media platforms, where you can join in and tune in on our YouTube channel, which is MICT Namibia, or you can also be a part of the conversation on our Facebook page, which is Ministry of Information and Communications and Technology of Namibia. So feel free to join us in the conversation, let us engage, and let us have a fruitful discussions on this Namibian pertinent issue. I think let us move on to our next question, really. What are the current initiatives, like I mentioned in the last questions, that you have decided you would want to implement through your Access to Education campaign, Mr. Peters, but also what really is the organization's stance in relation to the recently released class of 2021 examination results? How will you inform your work really with these results that have been recently released, particularly focusing on the gap between the pass rate and the failure rate?
Yes, thank you very much, Comrade Moderator. Now, with our Access to Education campaign, our initiatives that we have is we deal with placements. We ensure that each and every Namibian child is in schools where there is space. That's what we try to focus on. That we bridge that gap between the parents, the schools, to ensure that we as an organization pull these learners to schools. That's the number one issue we deal with. The other issue we also deal with is we also assist students who all over the country, in all 14 regions, to ensure that these students that come to tertiary institutions are helped on the spot by the organization. That's what we do. Now, in regards to the recently released results, one can say as an organization that we are so proud of our constituents for the wonderful work they have done. I mean, they have overachieved themselves, one can say. We are so impressed with the pass rate. And one can really say that they are really pushing to greater heights, and we are excited to have them at institutions of higher learning. And that as an organization, we will continue to work with them, and we are ready to have them. Indeed, Comrade Moderator.
All right. I think we have a comment on our Facebook page. Perhaps we can just have that comment, and then we can see whether our panelists would be able to just engage us and answer that question. So Felicity Masilio on our Facebook page is asking, when exactly is the NSSCO for grade 11 coming out? I think Comrade Director, you'd be the best person to answer this one for us.
Sure. Yes, I knew that one will come. We are hard at work. We are very busy. We are very busy, and we are anticipating to release the results as it was planned from the start, during the week of 14 to 18. I will never give an exact date for the release of exams until I reach with my team a stage of comfort where I can say as a director, now the results are coming out. That's why I'm always giving to the nation expected dates for the release of the results. My team is hard at work. They are working beyond their hours. We are waking up 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Some of us are at the offices, and we are pushing. Numbers of grade 11s have doubled and tripled. We are still investigating, and maybe the minister will do research to that effect to find out why so many candidates have now entered grade 11. So we are really, really pushing to release the results in mid-February for grade 11.
There you have it, folks. Mid-February, the NSSCO results will be released. But I think, Madam Director, perhaps really we did discuss and dissect the fact that the ministry has made efforts to communicate with the international universities to say that some of these results are either going to be late, so we have made some sort of provision for them to be accommodated once these results are out. So I think my question to you now is really, what are the plans other than specifically outside of or not specifically, but rather in Namibia, the Namibian institutions, the likes of the University of Namibia, the Namibian and then Namibian Institution of Science and Technology. What are the plans really with those local institutions? Have there been some sort of communique and arrangement that has been made?
Yeah, you see, it will not be worthwhile for us to communicate to South African universities without informing our local partners who are actually the critical role players in this aspect. The letters went to UNAM, it went to NAS, it went to IUM, it went to the executive director of Ministry of Higher Education. It went to all the relevant authorities and institutions to inform them on the dates. And then on top of that, NAST and UNAM are represented on our examinations board. So every decision that is taken right from the onset, they are part and parcel, and they know what is happening. And as we know, they have adjusted their registration period. They have changed it accordingly to accommodate our learners. And then, of course, there is still that option of late registration, should anybody fall behind. And that's how they are taking care of our candidates.
Okay. I think another follow-up question. Recently, there have been some, I think, comments or various reports regarding the rejection of science learners from institutions of higher learning because they do not have the full science package. I think earlier on when we opened our discussion, we did mention that usually the AS level curriculum only allows for you to take a minimum of 3 subjects. So it's possible that one would not have a full science package in that event. So what are your opinions on this? Is Madam really, are you able to perhaps maybe provide some clarity on this as to what will happen to those learners?
Yeah, it is true. It's very unfortunate that some schools did not study their broad curriculum thoroughly. And as a result, the package that they offer to the candidates were not packed according to the field of studies as it is intended and supposed to be. We have picked it up. I was fortunately one of the people who traveled all 14 regions with the minister. And then during those consultations, we also picked it up. And then we advised the schools and the regions to study the curriculum, to understand, to beef up and strengthen the life skills career guidance, and also for the learners to be encouraged and motivated to know that it is not only the school. Right from the onset, when you start entering senior secondary, you should know what you want. You should know what are the subjects that are required before you make your subject choices in order to go to the school that offers the full package that you need to enter medicine, to enter engineering, or whatever. And as we all know, maybe, the fraternity in education, we know that it's not all the courses that requires pure science subjects. If we look, it's medicine. Medicine requires mathematics, biology, physics, and chemistry. That's the group that is disadvantaged if a school did not give physics and chemistry at the same time and instead gave the learners a choice between those two, and then they took computer science instead of physics. That's the group that we have come across. Engineering sciences, they go for physics. They don't go for chemistry. Architecture, they go for physics. They don't go for chemistry. So all is not lost. You have to know from the start, and that is what we are emphasizing. When you enter secondary school in grade 8, a candidate must know, a learner must know what he or she wants to become one day. And what does the tertiary institution require me to have in order to enter it? And then which schools are offering that field of study for me to search for admission at that school so that I don't end up at the school. And choosing the subjects also depends on availability of resources, starting from human resources. If I don't have a qualified teacher in chemistry at the school, why should I offer it? If I don't have lab, laboratory with the equipment, chemicals, why should I offer it? Then it is offered at another school. Then I must know as a child, as a parent, my child should apply to B school instead of A school. So it is there. It has happened. We have addressed it. We have informed the leadership to take care of it. Package must be the package based on the disciplines that are required at tertiary institutions. That, in short, Madam Moderator, I can respond on.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Karisis. That is quite informative. I think maybe let us go back to the start of the show. Chika, inform us, or rather, for the learners that are viewing at home, what is your advice as somebody who has managed to rise and become or be ranked second best performer in the country? What is your advice to them? Maybe your tips and guidance in terms of how you've managed to achieve that outside of the most challenging circumstances, because you guys are the first class to actually write the AS level curriculum examination. So what is your tips and guidance to the audience back at home?
Thank you very much. I think my biggest advice is, I know it's difficult in the beginning, but you must not give up. The AS level really requires you to be consistent, to work for yourself, work the hardest that you can, and do things for yourself so you know that you can achieve what you want to achieve. You have to put aside a lot of things. You need to focus on your academics a lot, and you have to work smart. So my advice is, please just do not give up and keep working hard so that you can achieve the results that you want to achieve.
Thank you so much, Chika. Maybe because also the community at large, or the Namibian nation, still has various questions on, one, how the AS level new curriculum is supposed to operate, and two, outside of its introduction, what do we do with the former previous legacy curriculum, and how do those things really correlate, and we are assured that we are not signing up for something that is one day going to lead us into some sort of problem. I think maybe from Comrade, Madam Director, maybe you can provide some clarity to the House, especially because you would find a lot of people questioning the introduction of the new AS level curriculum. So what are really the most important things that people need to know outside of the narrowing of the gap in terms of the education, the level of education in Namibia, as well as ensuring that we promote a higher level order of thinking for the Namibian child? So what do you think are some of the misconceptions that really need to be cleared out for the Namibian House in terms of the new AS level curriculum?
Thank you. There are quite a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings. We had quite a lot of telephone calls and parents asking, my child had only 3 subjects on AS. University is asking for 5. I already explained that one. The other one is the points, the symbols, the grades that we are putting on the awards, on the certificates. For ordinary level, old plus new, we present the value, the performance with A to G grades. A to G, of which anything below G is ungraded, with capital letters, and then the higher level of legacy used to have, and is still having 1 to 4, not grades, but points, numbers, representing the performance. Below 4 is ungraded, and then we have now the AS that is added, which is represented with small case letters A to E. A to E, anything below E is ungraded. We don't have FGs on AS. That's a very important thing that should be understood. Then secondly, I want to add again that AS is an add-on on the ordinary level. AS is an add-on. You have to present both. There should not be a candidate who will end up getting AS certificate without going through ordinary level. AS is a 1-year full course. Ordinary level you attain after you have sat for 2 Yes, you have studied for 2 years at secondary level. It's a 2-year curriculum. Those are the things that people must start to understand and get used to. And very critical, which I almost missed, is the legacy ordinary level is equivalent to the new ordinary level. They are both registered on level 3 on the framework. They are both recognized and benchmarked against IGCSE of Cambridge at level 3. It has the same value. It has the same value, whether the candidate obtained it while he was in grade 12 or while he or she is in grade 11. It is ordinary level, same qualification with the same value. Those are the issues that I wanted to highlight, Madam Moderator.
All right. I think perhaps people back at home, I hope some of your questions, queries really have been answered. But if you do still have any other questions, please do feel free to engage with us on all our social media platforms and on our call-in number, which is 061 400 397. And again, you can also engage us on our social media platforms, which is on our Facebook page, MICT Namibia, and on our Facebook page, Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology of the Republic of Namibia, and on our YouTube page, MICT Namibia. So feel free to bring in your queries, questions, while we still have our expert panelists and contributors of the Namibian education sector. So I think, let us go back to you, Mr. Peters. When you mentioned that you are having consultative meetings with the AS level students or learners that have written the new AS level curriculum examinations, can you perhaps maybe guide us through some of the most reoccurring answers that you got through your consultative engagements? What are the most reoccurring either questions or points of guidance that you have seen with these through your meetings?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, moderator. I think the recurring questions throughout our consultations, one would say, is that the issue of access to resources for AS level. Many learners have indicated that they do not really have enough resources that cater for AS level, and that's a number one concern. And we have taken note of it. And moving forward, we are going to engage the ministry on this matter to see how we can collaborate as the mouthpiece of the learner and the ministry moving forward to sharpen and build up AS level to be the best kind of curriculum that we can see and that we are sure of. So as an organization, we remain steadfast, we remain at the forefront, and we remain central to ensure that the Namibian child has access to equitable quality education. Thank you, Comrade Moderator.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Peters. I think just to really follow up on that very, very, very significant and valid contribution, inform us really what, outside of really these consultative meetings, other than that, has the organization also extended an effort to reach out to the Ministry of Education, the different ministries of education, to ensure that there's some form of actionable steps that we can take to ensure that all these particular contributions and points of guidance and recommendations that you're receiving from the learners who are the immediate people that are affected by this curriculum are addressed effectively?
Yeah, Comrade Moderator, currently we are studying the results still. We are studying to kind of see how, as an organization, we can compile a report to the ministry to say that, okay, these are the issues that the learners are facing in terms of resources, and these are the numbers we are seeing. How can we push more learners to ensure that they take AS level, or they reach AS level? That's what we are doing. We are having figures like, I speak under correction, 5,000 learners that have registered for AS level. Now, come this year, we want to see figures like 10,000, 15,000 learners registering for AS level. That's what we want to see as an organization moving forward.
Okay. I think maybe let me just take you back to a very valid point that Madam Director had made. the question of learners having to ensure that when they are applying to the schools, they need, for example, if they want to now take up the AS level curriculum, they need to ensure that they apply for schools that do offer this curriculum, and their schools perhaps does have enough resources to ensure that the needs of this curriculum or for their studies are successfully met. Do you think an increase from the current 5,000 learners that are were registered for the AS level curriculum is it advisable for us to move towards increasing it to a larger number while we're still at its infant stage, really?
You see, the success rate of any education system is determined on the throughput. The throughput, the number of candidates who who entered the system and who complete the whole progress throughout the grades up to when they graduate. And that is what the ministry wants to see. We cannot wish and expect the learners not to perform well because of resources. And now, coming to resources will never be enough. There will never be enough when we talk about education. Why? Because there are many factors contributing to performance of the learners. It's not only the textbook. It is the teacher. It is the support at home. It is the willingness of the child also to learn. So there are schools in rural areas with only a teacher who has a syllabus to teach, but a qualified, competent, willing teacher with the right attitude who can outperform a candidate who's in urban area school, well-resourced school, but the attitude is not there. The willingness to learn is not there. So performance is entirely not only resting on resources, it is everything. All the factors should be taken care of. And as far as the ministry is concerned, we availed $30 million for the provision of textbooks for AS specific. For AS, and 8 million was provided for lab and lab equipment and TVET subjects also to buy those equipment. For government schools, of course, now our colleague might wonder, I just said we did not have textbooks, but for government schools, for public schools only, private schools are sorting themselves out. So as far as the ministry is concerned, we are striving. We did not reach yet where we want to be. We are striving to really avail reasonable resources so that teaching and learning can be enhanced and the learner performance can be improved.
That is really, really impressive and informative. So the ministry is clearly trying to push in from funds to expertise to ensure that the AS level is well received and well rolled out in the different schools of Namibia. I think maybe just a little bit of follow up again, really with the parents, as you mentioned. It's not only resources that speak to the results of the new curriculum. It's also a lot of it also has to do with the support that the learners have back at home. I think maybe from Chika, as well as Comrade Director, what are the things that you have seen in terms of support from parents? Have you seen maybe a significant amount of parents really supporting this new curriculum through their learners and also through their contributions to the schools? Or also yourself, Chika, really, what have your parents specifically done for you to have been able to excel exceptionally well to this level today?
I think the biggest contribution that parents and my parents have made was giving you the space and the time that you needed to really focus on your studies while you're doing AS level, because AS level, it's not only at school that you have to go get taught by the teacher and that's it, when you come home you're done. No, it needs a lot of self-work. You have to work for things. You have to figure out everything by yourself. You have to study and make sure that you understand everything. And a lot of that happens at home, and you cannot really do that when your parents are always, trying to do something with you, sending you around. So my biggest advice to parents is definitely give your children space, give them time to study, really focus on their academics, and yeah, I think that's the biggest advice I can give them.
Okay.
The trend that we have seen, unfortunately, is that the parents are 110% involved when the learners are at lower primary and primary schools. The moment that learner progresses to secondary school, then the parental involvement and support decreases, becomes less and less, until the child struggles on his own. Why are we saying that? Perhaps it's maybe the contribution of so-called free education, where the people or the parents believe that now the government is taking care of everything. I don't need to be involved. When you attend parent meetings that are held at primary schools, you see quite a significant number of parents attending. But call a secondary school parent meeting, you can count. And it is only at certain schools that you see a good number. And unfortunately or fortunately, these schools where the parents are involved, more involved than other schools, these learners are performing well. Learners whose parents are involved in their schooling, who go to school, who find out how is my child doing, who engage the parents. Those learners do not have disciplinary problems because my teacher knows my parent. He or she will report me if I step out of line in class. My teacher knows my parent. If I get a 0 in the test, he might call my parent. That is what is happening. So parental involvement, as far as the support for the learners to perform, performance-wise, there I think we still need to do more. There are parents who do that. There are schools who are succeeding with that. But there are others where you ask yourself, where are these children coming from? Unfortunately, it is the case.
Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. Mr. Petrus, you look like you want to contribute.
I think we need to start to realign ourselves as stakeholders, and to ensure that as stakeholders we all participate in the betterment of the Namibian child's education. I think parents, the school, the ministry, us as the mouthpiece of the learners, we need to come together to the table more. And especially I make reference to parents, is that parents are the ones that play the most vital role when it comes to the education of the Namibian child. Because once the child is at home, the things of society tend to take its course on this specific learner. So it's up to the parents to ensure that their child and the learner is guided, not only inside the school, but outside. So that's one thing that we should truly strive toward, that parents must ensure that they get fully involved, as the director has alluded, in their child's education. And not only when the child is at primary stage, but once the child is leveling up into secondary and tertiary education, that the parents must be involved as always.
Yes, madam, you're welcome. The floor is yours.
I would like to add, there's also another piece of evidence that shows to us how parents do not take, some parents do not come on board with their children's education. During the period of registration for high-stakes examinations, after the registration period has closed, verification is done, then it's the parents fighting with us. And then the child has told the parent a different story than what has happened. When we investigate, the child never registered at all. Was given the money to go and register. I don't know what he or she has done with the money, and then did not tell the parent the truth. Then while it is way too late, the parent will come to our offices and then demand this child to be registered. It doesn't work that way. But if you are a parent and you have given the money to the child and it's the registration period, make sure you see the receipt. You see the proof that that child is registered, and you see the proof that the learner is studying also. If it is part-time, full-time do not pay. Government schools do not pay. But if it is part-time in the private schools, you will see whether the child has got books, whether he or she is sitting with the books. Let me see, what did you get? How are you faring? What's the report? Some report cards are we giving to the parents. Children are playing tricks on us. And as soon as we don't start to demand certain things, we will end up having a situation where at the end we are fighting, but the fault is at the child's side, not giving the information to the parent. So that is just what I wanted to add on that one as well.
Thank you so much, Madam Director. I think today's discussion was quite informative. From knowing that, like everything else that comes in twos, the new curriculum does have its disadvantages and its advantages, from promoting a higher level of order of thinking and also ensuring that Namibian children or students and learners have a spirit of initiation and a spirit of taking up their own academic studies to excel in their individual lives. So we are quite grateful for having your expert opinions today here. It was quite profound, and we hope that all the misconceptions around the AS level curriculum have been cleared, and we have properly dissected the current status in terms of the results of the AS level of the class of 2021. Thank you so much for joining us.